We always assume that, stacking more intelligence, more compute, more AI agents onto a single task, that it just guarantees a better outcome.
Right, more bots have to mean a faster, smarter solution, don't they? It just feels so intuitive, like you're just stacking these Lego blocks of data until you have a skyscraper of IQ.
But it's not exactly like that. Some breakthrough research just confirmed this really counterintuitive truth, which is that sometimes adding more bots just burns through your resources, your tokens, and actually makes the entire system worse.
Dramatically worse.
Yeah. Less is often truly more, especially when you're dealing with high logic tasks. Welcome to the deep dive.
Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating stack of sources that clarify the current AI business landscape, and they reveal some critical hidden truths about how these complex systems actually work under the hood.
And we're here to help you gain that knowledge quickly, but also thoroughly. We have three main areas for you today that you could really be informed on.
First, we're going to look at the big monetization risks if you try to build a business inside, the biggest AI marketplace out there.
Then, an update on new models.
Yep. Blazing fast new models and practical tools you can use right now. We even have a really clever prompting technique that pretty much guarantees retention.
And finally, that breakthrough study we mentioned, showing precisely why scaling up AI systems can sometimes backfire in a big way.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this for you. We'll start with the business builders, the entrepreneurs out there trying to find a home for their applications. OpenAI recently clarified how you can monetize your apps within the ChatGPT marketplace.
And it is a massive distribution channel. I mean, you can't deny that. Everyone is rushing toward it.
Of course.
They basically offer two paths if you want to make money there. The path that's supported right now is called external checkout.
So that means you handle all the payments yourself, off-platform, you keep control.
Exactly. But the path everyone really wants, the one that gets you right into that user flow, is instant checkout. That's the built-in payment system.
Right, but it's currently in a private beta, only for a few select partners. Everyone wants to be there, but relying on that single channel, it's just really dangerous long-term.
And here's where it gets interesting, because that massive user base comes with some severe trade-offs.
Oh, yeah. The first major one is what we call brand dilution. Buyers start to attribute the purchase to ChatGPT, not to you, the developer.
You become invisible.
You're just the engine behind the scenes.
That's the classic marketplace squeeze, isn't it? When instant checkout eventually expands, you're just another storefront, and you're probably going to get lost in the noise. You get the scale, sure, but you pay for it with zero brand loyalty with your actual user.
Yeah, but hold on. If that channel gets you millions of users almost instantly, isn't zero brand loyalty worth it at the start? I mean, you're trading that long-term brand equity for massive immediate scale.
Which is the goal for a startup launch, right?
It is, but that's the Faustian bargain. The sources are really clear. The moment you rely on their discovery mechanism, you are trapped.
Just like the early days of Google ads, Eventually, you're going to have to pay to get seen. Whoever bids the most gets listed first. And that just pushes up bidding costs and kills any small profits for independent builders.
And the liability risk? This is massive, and I think it's often overlooked by people building on these platforms.
This is where the cost of convenience becomes kind of terrifying. Imagine you built a highly customized financial planning bot, right? It relies on this complex set of your own internal instructions.
Okay, and now imagine the AI marketplace explains your product just slightly incorrectly. A subtle prompt drift happens, and it misinterprets the volatility of an asset because of that bad description.
That's not just an unhappy user anymore. That is real legal exposure that developers now have to insure against. You are liable for the AI's bad explanation of your product.
Yeah, that liability issue. It really resonates. I mean, to be honest, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself sometimes, just trying to make sure my core instructions stay consistent, even on simple, non-financial tasks.
Of course.
So imagine that struggle when real money and customer trust, and maybe even legal action, are on the line. It's a whole other level.
And we also saw that some products just don't translate well. Anything that relies on, say, visual or emotional input, the sources mention things like fashion, beauty, or home decor, it just doesn't sell well through a chat interface.
At the end of the day, ChatGPT sells convenience. It doesn't necessarily sell your complex, nuanced company.
Right.
So based on all this, what's the single biggest strategic shift a developer should be making right now to secure some long-term sustainability outside of that walled garden?
They have to prioritize building their own distribution, their own brand presence, totally separate from the platform's convenience. All right, let's pivot a bit to the relentless pace of development, to speed. I mean, we're moving so fast now that entire model generations are obsolete in just a few months. Google just dropped Gemini 3 Flash.
And as the name suggests, it is blazing fast. It's designed for these high-volume, low-latency tasks. What's impressive is that it actually beats the higher-tier Pro version in some coding benchmarks.
So speed isn't necessarily sacrificing quality anymore.
Exactly. And it's free to try right now, which just lowers that barrier to entry for everyone.
And the financial velocity around this speed race it's just staggering. Look at Databricks. They just raised $4 billion at a $134 billion valuation.
And that's up 34% in just 3 months.
3 months.
That growth rate is both terrifying and exhilarating.
Whoa!
I mean, just imagine scaling that infrastructure to 1 billion queries a day. The market is validating that speed and integration are now the critical infrastructure for this next phase of the internet.
Which brings us to how we, the users, should be interacting with these tools that are getting faster and faster. This velocity highlights a crucial point for you, the learner. You can't just let AI info dump on you. You've got to maximize the knowledge transfer from every interaction.
Exactly. We found this really practical technique called the Feynman loop prompt.
This concept is brilliant. It forces true understanding, and it guarantees you'll retain so much more than if you just read a summary. You tell the AI to teach you a topic.
And then it tests you.
It continuously tests you and teaches you, iterating over and over until you can successfully teach the concept back to the AI.
So, for example, you can start with a prompt like, AI, teach me quantum entanglement using the Feynman loop methodology. And you add validating my understanding by requiring me to teach it back to you, broken down into 5 simple stages.
And that shift from just passively consuming to actively teaching, it fundamentally changes how you learn. You should probably save that prompt forever.
We're also seeing this specialization accelerating across practical tools. Semrush, the marketing intelligence giant, is now operating inside ChatGPT.
So marketers can automate complex reports or analyze competitors just by typing simple commands.
And others are combining models. You see tools like AirOps combining 40 or more different specialized models to handle these niche creative growth tasks.
And Alibaba's One 2.6 is creating these 15-second 1080p videos with multiple connected shots. The era of the single monolithic AI is fading really fast. It's moving toward these highly specific utility tools.
So given all this speed, the question becomes, how do we even measure true intelligence now? OpenAI just introduced something called the Frontier Science Benchmark.
And this goes way beyond just synthesizing data or completing some coding tasks. This benchmark specifically challenges models to, say, hypothesize novel chemical reactions or predict entirely new molecular structures.
Or even suggest revolutionary breakthroughs in material science.
It's measuring if AI can perform actual scientific discovery. The results are promising, they show huge potential, but, skepticism is still pretty high. It's a massive step, though, toward proving that AI can innovate, not just summarize old papers.
So how do these rapid and, let's be honest, complex benchmarks like Frontier Science really help the average user or builder who, isn't a research chemist?
Well, benchmarks clearly show the limitations and the potential. They guide us on which high-stakes tasks are actually safe for an AI to execute and which ones still need that human oversight.
Which brings us directly to the heart of the research, those counterintuitive findings on multi-agent complexity. This is crucial for anyone thinking about building sophisticated AI workflows or enterprise solutions.
Right. Multi-agent systems are incredibly popular right now. The idea is simple. It's a team of specialized AI bots working together on one complex task. And the assumption has always been pretty straightforward. More specialized agents means better, faster results.
But a joint study from Google and MIT ran 180 experiments across different major models to rigorously test that foundational theory. Does adding more AI agents actually inherently improve the outcome?
And the answer is, well, it's absolutely nuanced. For tasks where you can easily split data across agents, think about financial data analysis or processing massive batches of documents, they saw an incredible 81% improvement.
That's awesome. Great performance scaling.
Amazing. But for tasks that require sequential, step-by-step reasoning.
I'm thinking of it like trying to assemble a complex piece of IKEA furniture. If you ask 10 different specialized people to each do one step, but without perfectly clear, instant communication.
You just end up with a huge mess.
A huge mess.
And that is exactly what happened in the experiments. For these high-logic planning tasks, performance dropped by up to 70%.
70%.
That's
That's a catastrophic failure rate for system complexity and cost.
It is. It just completely flips the entire assumption we started with on its head. It means blindly throwing more compute at a complex problem is actually worse than just having one dedicated, highly trained specialist.
So why did it fail? What's the mechanism?
It's both economic and technical. The multi-agent setups just burn through tokens.
Yeah,
And we should remember, tokens are the fundamental economic unit of AI. They represent the computational weight you pay for.
Right.
They duplicated reasoning steps. They overcomplicated workflows that really demanded singular, high-precision logic.
So in essence, they wasted huge amounts of computational weight, which translates directly into massively increased operating costs for absolutely zero benefit.
Zero. This confirms that finding. More AI does not equal more IQ.
And this is such a crucial takeaway for any builder out there. For high logic or long-term memory tasks, a single, finely tuned agent can just crush a fancy, complex, multi-agent team.
A lot of these agent stacks are just introducing fragility and cost instead of actually solving hard problems.
So based on this, should builders just abandon multi-agent systems entirely? Is that the takeaway?
No, not at all. They still excel in that massive parallel data splitting we talked about, but they clearly fail in high logic precision chains where one weak link can just spoil the whole process.
Okay, so what does all this mean for you as you integrate this knowledge into your work or just your curiosity? We saw 3 powerful connected forces at play today.
First, there's the marketplace risk. That instant distribution comes at the cost of your brand identity and potentially immense liability. You've got to build your brand outside the convenience of that walled platform.
Second, tool speed and utility. Models are faster than ever, driven by these massive financial valuations. But that speed is useless if you don't maximize the knowledge transfer. So, use the Feynman loop to guarantee retention.
And finally, the paradox of scale. Complexity kills precision. Adding more agents doesn't guarantee a higher IQ. It often just raises your token costs and introduces these crippling failure points in logic-driven tasks.
And this entire landscape is just shifting so quickly.
Yeah, we even noted the intense debate over spotting AI content. The sources mention 5 reliable ways besides just looking for the prevalence of M-dashes. That's a whole discussion that probably deserves its own deep dive.
We'll save that for another day.
Yeah.
But here's our final provocative thought for you to mull over. If the Feynman loop prompt is so incredibly effective for teaching humans and ensuring validated understanding,
What would happen if we applied that same technique, requiring the AI to prove its depth of understanding to the foundational models themselves?
could that finally solve the issue of AI hallucination and the prompt drift we were wrestling with in the first segment?
I mean, think about that potential. Deeply validated, reliable understanding rather than just probabilistic synthesis. It could be the key to true AI reliability across every single application. We really encourage you to explore that profound idea further.
We appreciate you taking this deep dive with us. Until next time, keep exploring the sources. Out to your own music.